Hall of Fame. It's my pleasure to welcome our Master of Ceremonies this evening. Many of you recognize him as the host of these inductions and an occasional voice on Bowl TV. Before joining the bowling industry, Jason Overstreet was an award-winning television news and sports reporter while working as a reporter for Fox Television in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He reported on a business story about the concept of the new International Bowling Campus. A lifelong bowler, after Jason reported the story, he decided to make a career change and move them from in front of the camera to behind the scenes and join the team at USBC. We're glad to have him behind the microphone again this evening as our host. Please welcome USBC's Deputy Executive Director, Jason Overstreet.
Thank you very much, President Wilkinson. It's an honor, certainly, to be here with you this evening for this historic night, the United States Bowling Congress 2017 Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. You know, this is the evening that our association has the opportunity to honor those that make a lasting impact in our sport, both on the lanes and behind the scenes. Tonight, we're going to have the chance to welcome two extraordinary individuals to the Hall of Fame and bestow upon them the highest honor that USBC can. To help welcome these new inductees into the Hall of Fame, we also have some amazing guests with us. A number of bowling legends have traveled from across the country to honor us tonight in Las Vegas at these induction ceremonies and share this special moment. So please join me in welcoming the USBC Hall of Famers that are in attendance tonight as they are introduced. We're going to begin by a man inducted in 1979. His six-decade USBC Open Championships career included 4 titles. He has 65 years of appearances at the Open Championships with more than 117,000 total pins at the event. He also has 7 professional titles from Los Angeles, California. Please welcome Glenn Allison. Inducted in 1990, she has 22 professional titles and is the winner of the 1976 USBC Queens from Reno, Nevada. Please welcome Pam Buckner. Inducted in 1994, this man won 3 Eagles at the 1974 USBC Open Championships and is a famous standout with the great beer teams. He reached the epic milestone of more than 100,000 pins at the Open Championships from Sewanee, Georgia. Bob Hart. Inducted in 1995, she is a 17-time professional champion, has been inducted into 7 Halls of Fame across the country, and I would say is still at the top of her game as 4-time Senior Bowler of the Year from Newhall, California, Robin Romeo. Inducted in 1995, she was a national leader on the WIBC board before serving as Executive Secretary-Treasurer across 3 decades. From Springfield, Missouri, please welcome Flora Mitchell. Inducted in 1996, she has 19 professional titles, including 5 majors. Starting in 1979, she was honored as Bowler of the Year for 4 consecutive years. From Stevens Ranch, California, Donna Adamek. Inducted in 1999, she was a 10-time member of Team USA and one of the most decorated bowlers in U.S. history. She was the first U.S. woman to ever win the AMF World Cup and also holds titles in the USBC Women's Championships. 2 of them, in fact, here from Tampa, Florida, Lucy Sandlin. Inducted in 2000, this longtime bowling leader served for more than 3 decades at the national level. She served as president of YABA, president of USA Bowling, and chaired Bowlers to Veterans Link. From Castro Valley, California, please welcome Elaine Hagan. Inducted in 2000 as the first Canadian ever so honored by the WIBC. She served 30 years in leadership roles at the national level for WIBC and is an international leader in the sport. She was instrumental in the formation of the Canadian 10-Pin Bowling Federation. From Victoria, British Columbia, please welcome Hazel McCleary. Inducted in 2001, this man has 12 combined PBA national and regional titles to his credit. His USBC Open Championships team set the team all-events record in 1996, and that record still stands today. This year, he'll celebrate 50 years at the Open Championships. He's a gold-level coach and was also recently named a coach of Team USA. From Vernon Hills, Illinois, Bill Spigner. Inducted in 2006, she played a major role in women's professional bowling events for more than 25 years, including establishing a criteria for the PWBA Hall of Fame. She was honored with the IBMA Hennessy Award of Merit and is incoming president of the Greater Tulsa USBC Association. From Coweta, Oklahoma, Fran Deacon. Inducted in 2008, he has 35 PBA titles, is 2-time PBA Player of the Year, and 4th all-time on the PBA money list. From Jackson, New Jersey, Parker Bone III. Inducted in 2010, he has 22 professional titles, including 4 majors. You may also know him as the analyst on CBS Sports Network for bowling telecasts. From Medford, Oregon, Marshall Holman. Inducted in 2011, she has nearly a dozen professional titles and an all-event title at the USBC Women's Championships. From Placenta, California, please welcome Cheryl Robinson. Inducted in 2011, he's a former Team USA member, both known for rising to the occasion on the lanes at the USBC Open Championships and for his performance in international competitions. He is a 5-time Eagle winner with 2 gold medals for Team USA and 30 PBA regional titles. From Oregon, Wisconsin, Jeff Riggles. Inducted in 2012, he is a trailblazer for wheelchair bowling in the United States. He holds 12 American Wheelchair Bowling Association Scratch Championships and 13 AWBA Tournament of Champions titles. He also holds the record for highest qualifying score all time in an AWBA national tournament. From Anaheim, California, please welcome Al Utek. Inducted in 2012, he is a three-time Eagle winner at the USBC Open Championships with 13 top 10 finishes at the Open. From Kenosha, Wisconsin, Lenny Borish Jr. Inducted in 2015, he is a two-time Eagle winner with 11 top 10 finishes at the Open Championships. As a member of Team USA, he won nearly a dozen medals in international competition. From Eden Prairie, Minnesota, Sam Lanto. Inducted in 2016, he has two Eagles at the Open Championships, is a five-time gold medalist for Team USA, and a three-time collegiate national champion. From Pleasant View, Utah, Steve Klemkin. Inducted in 2016, she has served for decades supporting bowling media organizations, played key leadership roles for the International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame, as well as the International Bowling Media Association. From Van Nuys, California, Joan Romeo. Let's have another big round of applause for all of the Hall of Famers that came here tonight to share this historic evening with our new inductees. We are certainly honored to have you all here with us today. Now let's meet the members of our newest class of Hall of Fame. A famous coach once defined a great teammate as someone who has just an intangible ability to affect other people. That certain characteristic that's hard to really put your finger on. A player who others want to emulate, yet who cares enough to selflessly help the rest of the team to be their best. When you look at the totality of Mike Shady's career, you can certainly see all of this. It's no surprise, given his makeup, to see Mike Shady with national championships or team events that go across decades. Yet, don't think for just 1 second that the rest of the team carries this remarkable competitor. At the Open Championships, he is the lifetime average leader of those with 20 games or more with a 2.22 average. Mike Shady's story starts growing up in a bowling family, seeking mentoring from the best in the sport. And it's now come full circle as he is giving back as one of the most respected coaches in the nation himself. Let's take a look at the career of Mike Shady.
One of the universal truths in sports is that the best athletes never take their performance for granted, even as their continued success means that all of the people around them do.
He's the dependable guy. You never have to worry that he's going to shoot 520 or something like that, which all the rest of us have done at one time or another.
But Mike Shady learned from a very early age that in order to be the best, even in your own family, you have to work hard for it.
What really got me to the next level was my brothers. I was always kind of the runt of the four of us for bowling talent or performance, and I was competitive. I didn't like to lose, and I was always trying to get to their level. More than that, trying to beat them.
Shady got his first taste of success at the national level in 1985, when he helped lead the University of Wisconsin lacrosse to the Intercollegiate Team Championships title.
And we beat arguably the greatest college team ever put together. McDowell, Jack Turk, the Scroggins, Jimmy Davis, all those guys got PBA titles. It was a one-game Baker. They would probably beat us 9 out of 10 times, and it was just that one game.
But after meeting Nebraska University head coach Bill Straub, Shady decided he needed a change if he wanted to reach his full potential in the sport.
I had a chance to to know the players on the University of Nebraska. So I spent the night with Bill Straub, just talking bowling. And the one question he asked me was, Mike, what do you want to do in your future? And I was pretty straightforward. I said, well, I want to be like you. I want to be a professional bowler and be a successful professional bowler.
Under Straub's tutelage, Shady earned first-team All-American honors in his last 2 seasons, which gave him the confidence he needed to step up to the next level on the PBA Tour.
First tournament, I just missed the finals. I finished 25th. I missed the finals by a pin. And from that point, I kind of knew that, you know, I've got the talent. But I was humbled. I was humbled that rookie year.
Mike Shady, name and number from Ripon, Wisconsin.
Once on tour, Shady admired the work ethic of fellow pros Mark McDowell, who was also his good friend and travel companion, and 1991 PBA Player of the Year David Ozio, which motivated him to continue on his path of improvement.
I remember weeks when Dave would be leading the field by a couple hundred pins going into Friday night, and he'd be out in the lanes with John Jolly between the last block and the block we finished, where most of us would go home and relax or eat. He'd be out working on a swing. That made an impact.
After establishing himself as one of the tour's most promising young players, in 1992, Shady broke through with a magical week and captured his first PBA title at the legendary Earl Anthony's signature event.
He's put the stamp of approval on it, that's for sure.
Following several more solid seasons as a pro, Shady decided it was time to settle down and leave the tour life behind.
I would want people to know that he is way better than when you look in the PBA record book and you see one title. I mean, Mike made a decision that is totally justifiable, that family came first.
But as that door closed, another would open, and Shady reunited with his friend McDowell, who had also retired from tour competition, and another USBC Hall of Famer, Jeff Riggles, to form one of the best USBC Open Championships teams ever.
Yeah, it was just sort of a natural development, you know. Again, our friendships being what they were, and with Jeff and his really lifelong passion for the national tournament, you know, that was an obvious just kind of outlet then for some of the competitiveness that we both had.
Shady became the literal and figurative anchor of the team, helping lead them to 2 Eagles and also logging numerous top 10 finishes over the years.
He's the guy that you know, you put him at anchor, when you need a strike, he's going to get it, or at least he's going to throw it good, and he's never going to give you a score that isn't there, and he's the guy that throws so many good shots, reading lane transition. He's fabulous at that. I mean, he's by far the best bowler on our team. I think there's no doubt about that.
Shady is currently the 20-year lifetime average leader at the Open Championships, averaging better than 222, and also recorded an amazing streak of 20 straight years rolling 1900 or better for his 9 annual tournament games.
I didn't realize I had the 1900 all-event streak until Mr. Jeff Riggles brought it up to me about 4 or 5 years ago. I had no idea. And then, you know, I can hear, I'm very perceptive when I'm bowling, and I can hear him chattering. You can hear that, but I always focus present moment, present moment.
Shady has also devoted much of his time since leaving the tour to giving back to the sport as a coach, and he was just recently named to Team USA's prestigious coaching staff.
That's why I coach and teach, is can I make an impact into the future of somebody's life? But the Team USA opportunity is awesome. That's a great honor, and I'm looking forward to it.
Even though Shady has now received the sport's highest honor as an inductee into the USBC Hall of Fame, don't expect him to start taking anything for granted.
This sport has always been there for me. When things got rough, when things were a little bit choppy and a storm moved in, it always seemed I could go back to bowling, and there it was. It was kind of my foundation, and it just never left me. And it's been that way since I was 5 years old. And it's just given me so much in life. And then being awarded, you know, the highest honor in the sport, Hall of Fame, is remarkable. It's awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the category of outstanding USBC performance, From Girard, Pennsylvania, please welcome Mike Shady to the USBC Hall of Fame.
That was well done. Made me sound a lot better than I think I am. Tonight, I'm truly honored and humbled to be in the same category as everybody that walked through that door earlier, I'm a lot of gratitude and just very humbled. Thank you. Tonight, I want to thank the members of the committee who were in charge of voting for this induction, for thinking my credentials warranted to be in this Hall of Fame. Thank you very much. To the staff tonight, the cooks, the waiters, the photographer, anybody who made this night very impactful as it is, thank you very much. To all my friends tonight, my relatives, my family, my teammates who made the trip for such a memorable evening, thank you. To Chad Murphy and the entire United States Bowling Congress for making this Hall of Fame come true for me and for everybody else, and for answering all my questions and arrangements the last 2 months. Thank you. And most of all, I want to thank the Heavenly Father tonight. He has blessed me with health, with God-given ability, and He has put people in my life over the last 30 years who have poured themselves and their energies into me, my career, and most of all, of turning me into a productive and somebody who can give back to society. And not only am I on stage tonight, but I want to give my deepest congratulations to David Ozio. David was the one guy when I came out in 1990, when I was starting my career, he was writing his Hall of Fame. And I took notice immediately. Nobody on tour outworked David Ozio, including myself, and I worked hard, and I could not keep up with him. He had arguably the greatest physical game the sport's ever seen. Even to this day, when I teach, I bring up David Ozio, and I analyze players based on his technique. And what most importantly, even more than what he brought to the sport with physical talent, was his character. He was amazing on the lanes and off the lanes at all times. He was kind to everybody, and I would notice that. And he was a great model for a 22-year-old kid leaving the University of Nebraska and try to model their career after. David, thank you and congratulations. But I do have a story. David is an incredible fisherman, professional fisherman. 1991 in Beaumont, Texas. My roommate from tour, Richie Abuda, will remember this. He wanted to get some bowlers together to do a fishing outing on a Monday before the tournament started. This is the PBA doubles down in Beaumont, Texas. And I love to fish, so I signed up. And I asked David before we went out, where can I get a license? A one-day license is $10, $12. And Dave said, Mike, don't worry about it. He said, I've fished Lake Rabone all my life. You have nothing to worry about. So I went on my way. Next morning, got up early, and I was fortunate enough to draw Dave as my partner. He had a bunch of other fishermen, so we went out to his hot spot. We were out there 10 minutes, and I was excited because the bass you can catch in this lake are 8, 9, 10 pounds, big fish. We were out there 10 minutes, and I could see a boat coming. I figured, here comes some more fishermen because of the hot spot. Well, as that boat approached, I could see the side of the boat said, Game Commission. It was the Texas warden. Well, he coasted up to the boat and said, gentlemen, can I see your fishing license? I looked at Dave. Dave looked at me. And the first thing I thought about was my roommate, Rich Abood, who was my doubles partner, that he was going to be getting a new doubles partner for the week. Well, in Wisconsin, if you don't have a license, they can impound your car, your boat, and it can get really, really nasty for you. But this game warden, I told him, I said, sir, I have no fishing license. I'm here for the professional bowlers tournament. We're out here for a few hours of the day, and he said, here's what I'm going to do for you. Usually I take the fisherman into the justice of the peace. He deals with him. We take you right off the lake, but today I'm going to fine you, and I'll let you guys fish the rest of the day. So he fined me as $120. Now remember, this is in 1991, David's greatest year as a professional bowler. 4 titles, the Tournament of Champions, Player of the Year, and he won the earnings for the PBA tutor. Every 3 months, and Dave said as we got into the week, Mike, don't worry about that $120. It was my fault. You let me take care of that. Dave, every 3 months, the state of Texas sends me a $120 notice for a non-license in 1991. Congratulations, Dave. The age of 5, I started bowling in a small bowling center in a small town where I grew up, Ripon, Wisconsin, just 2 blocks from where I lived, a little bowling center my father operated called Pinball Lanes. And I was there with my twin brother that day, and my father introduced us to the sport, and I'll never forget the very first ball I rolled down the lane was on lane 12. I don't remember how many pins I knocked down, but that was the start where I really fell in love with the sport of bowling. And I do know this, from getting from that point of age 5 to this night, many, many special people come into your life to make that happen. And I want to share those people with you tonight. I was asked, even the video said, what influence as a child did you have to get you evolving as a good player? And it's a really easy answer. It's my 3 brothers. I have 2 older brothers and a twin brother, and we all played multiple sports. These 3 brothers were very athletic, and they would whoop me in every sport we played, including bowling. And they would push me and never, ever give me any slack anytime we competed. And I really sincerely believe the reason I started excelling to a point where I could compete at a high level were because of my 3 brothers. And the older I got, they started really supporting me and encouraging me to continue to work hard at this game. And tonight, I personally want to thank them. Kim, Kevin, and Mark, thank you so much for never, ever giving me an inch and pushing me when I was a kid. Thank you very much. Shortly after high school, when I graduated high school, when I started at age of 5, I told you on lane 12, my goal was always to be a professional. So I went to the University of Wisconsin La Crosse as a freshman, and they were very rich in their history. Dick Richter was a graduate from La Crosse. Jackie Connaughton, who won a world championship FIQ, and Mark McDowell played there as well for a short period of time. So I went there in 1985, and we won a national championship, which is very, very fortunate, and beat a very, very good team, in my opinion, the greatest college team of all time. All 5 of those guys, Scroggins, both of them, Jimmy Davis, Mark McDowell, and Jack Jurek, all have won at the professional level. Now, we won on a 1-game Baker, and they would beat us most of the time, but that was the start. If there's any one event that really opened the doors and opportunities, it was that national title, the University of Wisconsin La Crosse in 1985. And being really fortunate that week, we crossed with a team from the University of Nebraska, coached by Bill Straub. And I knew Bill from being a little kid going down to Miller High Life in Milwaukee. I used to watch him bowl and seeing him on TV, and I know he was a PBA champion. So I got a chance to spend the evening, the ceremony with Bill, and we just talked bowling. And as the video mentioned, I asked him, or he asked me, what are you going to do with your career one day? I said, I want to be a professional just like you. He said, how are you going to get there? And I said, I'm going to practice. And then the next thing he said, have you ever considered coming out to Nebraska and playing for my program? So shortly thereafter, my father and I went to Nebraska for a visit, for a 3-day visit. And I remember going back to the hotel room that first night, and I told my dad, this is where I want to play. Bill sold me in the program. He was building a culture that I really thought was going to benefit me, and I did that. I transferred that year. I sat out a year competing. I went to school full-time, but I was allowed to practice with a team, and it was under his guidance and his mentorship for 4 years at Nebraska, and he taught me so many things. The one thing he taught me was process over outcome. Immediately, I found out it was all about process, doing little things a lot at a high level, and it'll get you great results. The first year I was practicing one day with Bill, and I was a 19-year-old kid worried more about outcome, striking, things like that. And I remember one practice session, we were 2 or 3 hours into it, and I was striking, and I think he had 20-some in a row, and every shot would come back, and I would look at Bill, and he'd shake his head. And I'd throw another shot, another strike. He'd shake his head. And all of a sudden, I threw one shot, and he got up, and he made a roar, a big sound, and he said, you got it. And it was all about the process. And from that point forward, my career started to evolve. And Bill really, really taught me that it's all about what you do, the little things, a lot, at a high level, process, and the results take care of themselves. But more importantly than that, Coach Straub taught me life skills to a point where I use them in my classroom as a teacher. I parent with them. I coach with them. Things like always being kind, no matter what kind of day you're having, kind to everybody. Talking about how to win with humility on the lanes and how to lose with grace. But the most important thing he modeled was his heart. His life was centered around his faith, and I could see it every single day, and it is to this day. He has tremendous faith. He walks with salt. Bill, tonight, I don't know if I've ever personally thanked you, but thank you for teaching me how to bowl at an extremely high level, and thank you for teaching me what life's all about. Thank you very much. Just so I don't forget, I want to thank his wife, Kim, who's here as well. Kim, thank you for coming out. After the University of Nebraska, I had a lot of success there. In 1990, I went out on tour. And again, this is where you get a chance to bowl against Marshall Holman, Mark Roth, Parker Bone, Norm Duke, Brian Voss, and you will get humbled immediately. You go from a first-team All-American to, do I even know how to bowl anymore? But these guys were the best in the world, and they really, you either learn how to play with the best or you go home. And watching guys like David Ozio with his work ethic, I worked hard. And it really was responsible for taking me to another level. One of the guys that had a major impact on my career was Richie Abood, my roommate most every week. Richie was a brother to me. He was my coach when nobody was around, and I needed a set of eyes. He would keep me calm when I needed to be calm. He was in my wedding. And if you've ever traveled with somebody on a full-time basis, it's really important to have a good roommate, and he was the best. Richie, thank you for all you've done for me. And his wife, Dawn, tonight, thank you for coming out. Another guy. This guy, when I was at Nebraska under Bill, Coach Straub, I used to go down to the King Louie in Kansas City and watch the tour stop. And I told Bill, that's the guy I want to be like on the lanes. He's fierce. He's competitive. He's got a great attitude. And boy, he doesn't like to lose. And it's Mark McDowell. I used to watch Mark, started in 1985, and we all know what Mark has done. He had a tremendous career on tour. But I got a chance to team up with him with the USBC, our team out here, and I was his double partner for 20 years. Just a tremendous bowler, tremendous friend. He was my roommate periodically. But the best thing about Mark is every time I visit with him, whether it was in person or on the phone, I came away feeling much better, being a better dad, being a better husband, just being a better person. This guy, his heart is filled with the Holy Spirit, and it is somebody I've always looked up to. Mark McDowell, thank you very much. 1992, Bill Supper from Ebonite, the vice president of marketing, approached me and asked if I would be interested in a ball staff, a contract, being part of the family. And obviously in the early 90s, it was difficult to get a ball contract, and I was excited, eager. It was a great company. They've been with me since 1992. I just signed my 26th year with them. They've treated me like family. My wife and I I've done some venues with them, and they've invited my wife to go around the world. They've been tremendous. They've created great product over the years. And Jeff Riggles, the guy who remembers every statistician in bowling, we always tease each other. He says, he always brings up the 20 year of 1900 or better in the USBC tournament. And I always tell Jeff, was it Mike Shady or was it Ebonite? Which one was it? But thank you, Ebonite, for just treating me exceptionally well, my family. Thank you very much. Another guy who has been with me since really I was a little kid, he was my coach when I went to Wisconsin, when Coach Straub wasn't around. He's been a family friend for years. He's one of my coach in my camps in the summertime. His name is Lee McCauley. He's here tonight. We call him Gonzo. Gonzo, you've been a big part of my career. You're part of the family. Thank you so much. To all my friends who have traveled here tonight, I've got people here from Wisconsin, Nebraska, some people from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for all you've done for me. My brother and sister-in-law back home who could not be here tonight, he's bowling next week, so 2 trips within a week. He thought he'd save the 1 trip. John and Shelley Ferretti, he owns the bowling center back where we're from. This guy literally gives me a key to the bowling center. He asked me what I want on the lanes, and I do all my practice before work around 5:30 in the morning. I go in, the pattern's down, what I want. He does anything I want. It's been a tremendous help since I've lived out there for 20 years. John and Shelley, thank you. My brothers and sister-in-laws tonight, thank you for making the trip. My aunt and uncle, thank you for all your support over the years. My 2 sisters, Michelle and Melissa, you've been my biggest cheerleaders when I would come home from tour, from college, always been supportive. Even to this day when myself and my kids come home, they're excited. Thank you very much. 2 people who couldn't make it tonight, my mom and dad. They are home tonight. The trip pushing 80 is a little bit far for them, so they stayed home. Hopefully they're watching the stream. Mom and Dad, you are the ones who started me in this sport. I thank you for that. You've been a tremendous support system. My father drilled my bowling balls. He was my coach. He was my hero. I used to watch him bowl in tournaments, and he was tremendous. The way he carried himself on the lanes, off the lanes. And I always told myself and my brothers, if I could ever get as good as Dad, I've got a chance. I think I got as good as my dad. Dad, and one thing he told me as well, he taught me, was humility as well in the lanes. Short story, I was a 13-year-old kid bowling a junior tournament. It was at our bowling center. He was gone. He came back early. They were on an anniversary trip, and I was leading, and I was a little bit prideful in the lanes. I was running shots out, pumping my fist, kind of like when I was watching my boyhood idol down in Milwaukee, Marshall Holman. You're pumping my fist, running shots out. And my dad, I think he thought that was okay once you proved yourself, but I was a 13 little wet behind the ear kid trying to be prideful in front of other kids, and I was leading, and he hauled me into the locker room, and he said, "Hey, let me tell you something. The next time you act prideful, arrogant on the lanes, I'm going to WD you. And I'm going to pull you off the lanes, and you're going to lose this tournament." So I want to thank my dad for teaching me that, because that was just a life skill that I've taken with me up to even to this day. Very, very important. Thank you, Mom and Dad. My 11th frame USB team. Let me repeat this a couple times. I would not be standing up here tonight in front of you if it wasn't for these 9 guys. 1996, Jeff Riggles, Mark McDowell called me and asked me if I'd be interested in putting a couple teams together for the national championship, at that time as the ABC, but the USBC. And I was excited. I was done bowling full-time, Mark was, and we had a pretty good team we were talking about putting together, and we put it together. Chemistry was outstanding. We have different personalities, from real quiet guys like myself, competitive guys like Mark, and then we got animated guys like Jeff Riggles, all different personalities, and it has been unbelievable for the last 20-plus years. Get to bowl with guys like Jeff Riggles, arguably the greatest USBC champion of all time. Gail Myers, second on the lifetime average of 20-plus years. You got a number of other Eagles, Witkowski, you've got Howery, you've got Richter, you've got Faulkner, all of us got Eagles, and we put these 10 guys together. Just a short story of this team. 2011 was our last team title, and we had a Florida very young team who jumped our squad, who they were supposed to bowl earlier in the day, and they wanted a piece of the action. We put a lot of money into brackets, side action. Well, they jumped our squad, 20-year-old kids, we're all pushing 50 at the time, and they wanted to take it to the older guys. Second game, we shot a decent first game. We were doing okay. Second game, they started mocking Jeff Riggles. Things like, "Who's your daddy?" Things like, "Too bad!" And all the other animation, if you know Jeff. If you also know him, he's one of the most competitive guys you'll ever bowl against. And all of a sudden, the juices started going. And to this day, we still have the highest team game. We shot that 1,300 the last game. We won the team event. That's the type of guys we have with these two teams. Just a phenomenal bunch of guys. Jeff Riggles, thank you personally for making it so easy for me. Literally, Jeff tells me where I have to bowl, how much money I have to bring, and when I have to be there, and all I do is bowl. He's made it that easy. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Riggles, John Witkowski, Brett Faulkner, Gail Myers, Steve Richter, Mark McDowell, who else? Danny Geffert's not here. We got Mike Walters, you 9 guys. It's been an unbelievable ride. And because of you 9 guys, I'm speaking here tonight. Thank you very much. This is where it gets tough. My family. My 2 children, Austin and Mackenzie. My son, Austin, 13. My daughter, Mackenzie, he'll be 12 next month. You are the love of my life. You are my joy each and every day. There's nothing in my life could ever replace you. You've been there during tournaments where I've won. You've been there practice sessions. I've been gone and you've understood. Thank you so much for all you bring into my life. I love you guys both. Thank you. My wife, Carrie, of 23 years, She was a great player at the University of Nebraska where we met, first-team All-American. She has been my life coach. You know, everything I've received up to this point in anything I've done in life is because of her. She is filled with Jesus Christ. She is an incredible partner to walk with. She's my best friend. She is the person that will keep me in line when maybe she thinks I'm going down the wrong road. Carrie Ann, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you. I am truly, truly honored and humbled tonight to be standing up here and thanking all of you. What a great venue to say thank you to all those people who've meant so much and have poured themselves into my life and my career for the past 30 years. Thank you so much.
Congratulations again to Mike Shady. I always find it interesting during these Hall of Fame induction ceremonies and looking back at the careers of athletes, what that magic mix is that can create a Hall of Fame career. All of the great ones have natural physical ability of some kind, and certainly there's always a support system, family, friends, coaches. Those are the foundation, the pillars that are required, but it's never enough alone to be able to make it onto this stage. The difference maker always seems to be something internal. For David Ozio, it was a fire burning to keep improving, a vision and a faith that success in that moment under the TV lights with millions of viewers would come if he put in the time practicing on the lanes when no one was watching. David Ozio had all of the ingredients and put it together for a remarkable career. Let's take a look.
You know you're really good at something when people start to compare themselves to the standards you set.
Nobody was that smooth. Nobody had the perfect arm swing, the perfect finish. And he was just, one of the best by far.
And when it came to the physical act of throwing a bowling ball, perhaps no one has ever done it more perfectly than David Ozio.
In the early days, I had a guy that went to the bowling center I practiced at and all that, and he was a guy that had competed on the tour level stuff for a while, and I think he ended up making one TV show, and he was very graceful at his approach, and he said, David, he says, you just need to look as pretty as you can going to the foul line.
Ozio is a self-described perfectionist, a trait that drove him to try and perfect the art of throwing a bowling ball in his late teens growing up in Texas.
All through my 17th year, 18th year, that's all I did was live in a bowling center. Went to work at a bowling center so that I could bowl for free, and next thing you know, I shot my first 300 when I was 19.
After coming up through the Texas ranks, Ozio joined the PBA Tour in 1978 and would break through with his first win in 1985 after beginning to work with legendary coach John Jowdy.
In '85, I started the season, and we kind of put together a plan that I was going to go 6 events and call it quits. And I probably would have been off the tour, had a miracle from God not happened. And during the very first event at Gable House Bowl, I missed cashing by 7 pins or 8 pins, whatever the case. John Jowdy walks up to me and says, "You're going with me."
Over the next 5 seasons, Ozio would capture 4 more wins. But in 1991, he took his game to the next level.
Well, we've had a little bit of everything today, a 161, a 156. Biggest score up to this was by Ozio, 224, and he's going to have a big one right here.
After capturing the title in the opening 2 tournaments of the year, Ozio had a chance for his first major title at the prestigious Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Del Ballard was in contention, Pete Weber, and there was other guys that were in that mix, and so the talent was there.
a lot of ability there, but the perfectionist in me wanted to shine. And after that year was over, boy, what a lift off the shoulders it was.
Ozio would continue to be a top player on the tour for the next several years, delighting TV viewers all around the country with his immaculate bowling style and passion on the lanes.
It came from in here. It wasn't acting or anything like that. It just came from the heart. And that's just, I don't know, it's just how he bowled.
His most memorable match may have come in 1993, when he rolled a 279 in the title showdown against Mike Albee, only to lose.
I get to finish first, and I got them all for 279, so it really put the heat on him. And as soon as he cut that shot loose, I knew it was going to be there, whether he didn't ring a 7 or whatever the case, but you know what? He did the business, and then I was happy for him.
Ozio's last PBA Tour win came in 1995, when he put on a virtuoso performance in setting the PBA's 4-game television scoring record.
That tournament, my family was there, my wife, my 2 daughters was there, and it was just a spectacular time in my life.
Now, Ozio spends his time as a professional fishing guide in Texas, where he continues to pursue perfection on the water.
I just happen to love to see people catch fish, always have. I used to take a lot of people fishing all the time, and so that coupled with the tournament environment is what drives me, and I still have the same dedication to this sport as I did with bowling.
Ozio was inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame in 1995 and was also named one of the 50 greatest players of all time. As he is now honored by the USBC, he'd like people to remember all of the work he put in his pursuit of perfection.
Bo Burton used to always allude to it on ABC Wide World of Sports, that I was the practice junkie. I was the guy that went to the level nobody else would go to. And I just think that if everybody in America could adapt to the logic of, I can do better, and get out and work at it. Seek out a great coach. Find someone that can take you up one rung of the ladder. Work each rung of the ladder every year till you climb to the top of the ladder. And, praise the Lord, I made it to the top of the ladder.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the category of superior performance from Beaumont, Texas, please join us in welcoming David Ozio to the USBC Hall of Fame.
Wow. I don't even know if I'm going to need this. Number one, I don't know if I can see it. Number two, it's hard to follow Shady. What a great speech that was, Mike. Tremendous. Wow. And I didn't know that I had that kind of impact on your game. I never knew it. I was too busy focused on myself and what it was going to take for me to beat the elite of the tour. And boy, was there some out there. God, there were some great guys. First of all, I have to, first and foremost, give thanks and praise to God for this day. He's given me the ability to be here. And, I was dreading I'm going to have to struggle through this tonight, so we'll see what we can do. The talent he gave me to do this was monumental. And, it's just something that you just don't slough off. You have to work for it. And unfortunately, I'm a perfectionist, and it drove me to the next level to try to be the best that I could. And, there was no roadblock that was too big that I just decided that I wasn't going to let step in my way, that I couldn't be the best that I could be. And, there's a long way to go. I really need to thank the USBC and everybody involved on the committee for putting me here. I was on the ballot for a long time, and, I really, be honest with you, I didn't know if I was qualified to be in this group. You just never know. You question your ability, your talent, and you don't know where it'll take you or where it can go. But the elite people that walk through that door tonight, when you stand amongst that crowd, wow, you just have to look and say, man, oh man, what a blessing. It's truly amazing to be in that type of environment, and truly a once-in-a-lifetime deal to be surrounded with talent like that. The book of Romans talks about, in the book of chapter 12, the book of Romans, about the gifts that every one of us are given. And my wife always wonders, well, which one was mine? She's always questioned me on that, you know, and when I look back at the talent that he did give me, and I didn't want to waste it. I wanted to turn it into something that was going to be the good for, number one, for the industry, but a good for my family also. And that was the most important thing. And that's what drives us every day and fuels me to succeed. I really hated the term second place, because second place means you're first loser. And I hated that. God, dog it. I wanted to win no matter what, you know. So it was a road that was, you know, wasn't easy to get to. The growing pains that came with this, I mean, I'd be sitting at home some nights and be 11 o'clock at night and thinking about a release or whatever the case, and I just thought, you know, I have to fix this. I have to work on it, and would load up, go to a bowling center, and practice till dawn. And I did that so many times. I mean, it was just, it drove me, because I just wanted it to be right. And I just found out tonight, one of my wife's friends called her up during that time and questioned her own, and he says, "You sure he's not having an affair?" She says, "Well, unfortunately, he is, and it's with the Lanes." And, you know, I mean, that's what it was. You know, I just didn't want to be second best at whatever I put my mind to. You know, my rookie year on the tour, I was pretty much a hot mess. Going into the tour season, which I decided I was going to get on the tour in 1978, I was leading the national high average in league bowling at the time with like 242 average. Mike Durbin had the current average at the time, he was the record at 239. I needed 6 more games to break that record. And the first tour stop was at Gable House Bowl in California. And I just, that accolade didn't really mean that much to me, because there was something bigger out there that meant way more. And the tour just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It was this calling, and I passed up those 6 games and that record to head out to Gable House Bowl. What a mistake. You're talking about a humbling experience when you get out there and all of a sudden you think you're the cock of the walk, and boy, you're just going to like beat them silly. And wow, I mean, the conditions were a lot different, and you spent your entire tournament rubbernecking, like, wow, there's Tommy Hudson, there's so-and-so, there's this, and you see these guys on TV all the time, and you marveled at their abilities, and you didn't pay 1% of attention to your own game because you were just so in awe of where you were. And I tell you what, it was a big drawback at the time, and it definitely hurt my performance. And you know, that cruised through for a lot of years, and it went all the way until about, I don't know, 1985. It's like the video said, when John Jowdy, who at the time, strangely enough, walked around with that big cigar and that big hat, and I didn't particularly like him. I mean, he just thought he was something, and I was just like, well, and he walks up to me out of the clear blue and says, "Boy, you're going with me." And I was like, oh, let me backtrack here for a second. I missed something I wanted to say. When I was a rookie on the tour, I was very fortunate to be able to hang out with Jim Stefanich and Carmen Salvino my very first year, and room with Jim for a long time. And we were on a flight from somewhere to somewhere, and I was sitting next to Carmen on the plane. And he looked at me with those stern eyes, and he just what he always called me, boy. Boy, you'll get out of this what you put into it, is what he told me. And you talk about resonate with you. And all through my rookie year, I mean, if there was something bouncing around in the back of your head, that's what it was. You'll get out of this what you put into it. And i.e., that's when the perfectionist side of me kicked in, and I did not want to settle for second best. I wanted to manifest it into the talent that God gave me. And so, i.e., the work ethic kicked into gear, and that's why we spent all those hours in a bowling center. That's all why we bowled 200 games a week for so long, I can't even remember. That's really the killing blow that probably took my wrist out in like 2008 at bone on bone, but I just wore the cartilage out in my hand because I just worked at it so hard, you know. So when I stand here, I will say the investment was well worth it for what I went through in order to get to this point right here, you know. And so what Carmen told me that day, it stuck with me for a long time. Fast forward back to 1985, John Jowdy says, "You're going with me." Like, why? It's like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't even like you. And the best decision that a human can ever make in life is what really is the difference of whether you succeed or not. And I probably made the best decision I ever made by lowering the ego guard and saying, okay, I'll see what you got to say. So Steve Cook, myself, and David Husted went to Bay Lanes, and I wanted to see what he had to say. So we go over there and we practice, and the first hour of the workout, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know, maybe it's time to go. I don't know. And he's working with Steve, working with David, and then after about an hour through this workout, all of a sudden, something clicked. And the gravity-based swing that he was trying to teach me, all of a sudden, I noticed my feet were trying to go faster, and I was fighting it. One thing led to another, and then I hit a spot in there somewhere that, wow, I had never, ever, ever had that in my game ever before to this date. I mean, it was phenomenal. And leverage was so strong, and I just commenced to striking from every angle on the lane. And I was marveled at it. Another 45 minutes, just one after another after another. And I thought, golly, there's something to this. And, you know, I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. And it's when we get out there bowling against the likes of these characters right here and all these big players in here, you know, you've got to keep climbing the rungs of the ladder. And I went the next week and finished 12th or 13th in Vegas, and then 2 weeks later made the alternate to the TV show at the U.S. Open in Galaxy Lanes in Florida, and then won my first tournament the next week in St. Louis. And I mean, wow, what an investment that was in that man, that he could that quick lead me to the pinnacle of a title. And I couldn't grasp the concept. I mean, it was just amazing. And then win my second title literally a couple of months later. And so, wow, he stayed with me and worked with me and worked with me and worked with me forever and started winning tournaments, and everything was great. Well, a few years after that, Bill Taylor came along, and a rather eccentric fella that was probably the biggest magician at lines that the game could ever put forth. He was amazing at how well he could make you throw a ball to a target and repeat it shot after shot after shot, even to the point that he would have you close your eyes during a shot. And there was lots of times when I was in an event and struggling mentally or whatever, and I'd look back and there's like this ghost standing back there in the back, and he'd go like this, and he'd say, close your eyes. And so I'd invariably get up there for the next shot, and 1, 2, 3, I'd get almost going into the fourth step, I'd close my eyes and throw the shot, swing would straighten out, strike. And, you know, it would put your swing online. I even had a regional one time down in Port Arthur, Texas, with 2 games to go. It was a grind-out tournament, and Henry Gonzalez was right there with me, and we were fighting for the top spot to win the tournament. And I really started struggling. In the last 2 games, I just said, I'm trusting it. And I bowled the last 2 games with my eyes closed, literally. And would take the first 3 steps, close my eyes, and throw the shot. Shot 238, 266. The last 2 games, and blew Henry away. Too bad, Henry. Too bad. So, but it was a monumental thing that these humans knew what it took for this level of player to go to the next level and go up the rungs of the ladder to be the success that we wanted to be. And, you know, I mean, I can't even, poor John and Bill are both gone now, and it would have been so great to have them here to be able to see this, because they were really the cornerstones of what it took to get to this position. I mean, if I wouldn't have learned that, I would have never been able to compete. And there was other times when what it took mentally to be able to be successful. And when I was in my early days out there, I was always working the boards for the PBA because I never made the finals. And so I marveled at guys like this character sitting right here, Marshall Holman. And so I wanted to know, what it took to be like him. And I brought a stopwatch with me, and I would monitor his ball speed. I'd monitor his approach speed, and I would time everything, and I would time his curse word speed. And, it was something that was, I needed that in order to understand why was this guy so great, and why was I also ran sitting over here on the side. And, every week I was sitting there watching him bowl, and now I wanted to get inside his head, because there's something that's the next level to this. And when I did manage to get into his head, I saw lightning bolts. I saw bats. I was tarred and feathered. And I was pelted with golf balls. So it's a unique chemistry that we cannot imagine because of these players like this with their intestinal fortitude and they're more than anything else tenacity. And I drew a conclusion after that day that I was going to be more feared on the lanes and I was going to be more of a showman in order that I could really manifest this talent better, and that's where I went. And it helped because it would take the stress to a whole different level. And, that was really the big difference of what it took to help me to get to the point of, the titles that I had out there on tour. I really can't thank you enough, Marshall, for you just being you. I have to really, like Mike Shady, God's hand was a big part of this, but the biggest blessing that could ever happen to me happened in 1983. And I was bowling Garden City Bowl in a tournament there, and we were in a Pro-Am. And Chuck Pierce was bowling next to me on one side and Billy Young on the other. And we're bowling the first game, and I happened to notice this lady in the stands. And I told Chuck, I said, wow, would you look at that? I said, man, oh man, that is the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life. And so one thing led to another, and I'm throwing shots, and the next thing I know, Chuck Pierce is sitting next to her. I was slightly PO'd for a moment, but then he's waving me, come here, and I'm like, oh no, this can't be. So I walk up to the stands, and he introduces me to Lisa. And we sat there and started talking, and she had a date that night. Strangely enough, she was there watching her sister, who was bowling in the Pro-Am with me. So we got to talking, one thing led to another, and guys were going to Fridays after the round, and I asked her to go. And so she agreed. And I said, well, what about your date? She says, I already called and canceled. And so that was the start of really the most incredible thing that's ever happened to me in my life. That woman right there, spectacular. I'm telling you, folks, you can't even imagine the burden she's carried while I was out on the road seeking success, trying to be a star. I had goals in mind, and, there has to be somebody there to pick up the load on the backside. And, wow, did she do a great job. Even my guide clients, corporate people that I take out on these baths, so we do a lot of corporate work, and I tell them, I says, I've been married 34 years, and I've seen my wife 10 of those years. And they all go, that's why you're still married. I was like, no, I don't think so. I've got an extraordinary woman. And it's, to this date, we were sitting here at the table a while ago before the thing started, and we were talking about it. And I mean, this was, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and we were talking something, and I said, you know what, I'd marry you again. You know, so I can't explain to you how much I love you. She has blessed me with 2 insanely great daughters, and one of them lives in Dallas, is married to a lawyer, and they're currently in Spain right now, shocker. And my youngest daughter lives in Tyler, and they have her only granddaughter, and so what a blessing that is to be able to see that little girl all the time. And so Lisa spends a phenomenal amount of time with her there in Tyler, and we'll eventually have to move to Tyler because we're going to have to get closer to them one way or another. So, you know, I mean, this wasn't a long-winded thing, and I just, you know, topped off on some highlights, but the honor tonight is beyond measure. And when you think back of the dedication, the things it took to get here, was it worth it? By all means. I would have done it again 10 times over. So, you know, I mean, to look out here at you guys that are all involved in bowling the way that you are, I can't thank you enough for being involved in the sport the way that you are. And anybody that you come in contact with in your local areas and whatnot, I mean, always tell them that the secret to success is go to the next level, be all you can be. I mean, challenge yourself, and you have to do that with some great coaching. And I'm really, just thrills me to death to see that coaching has gone to the next level in bowling now versus what it was back in the 80s and the 90s. And so I think the bowling world has a great opportunity to really put themselves on the map going forward. So in closing, I love every one of you guys. I love the Lord more than anything, so does my wife. And we're very privileged. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 2017 USBC Hall of Fame inductions. Let's have one more round of applause for all of the Hall of Famers in attendance here today. Thank you so much for joining us. We would like to ask all of the Hall of Famers to please come up to the stage so we can have a group photo to commemorate these 2017 USBC Hall of Fame inductions, as well as our new inductees. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a fantastic evening here in Las Vegas, and we hope to see you again next year at our 2018 Hall of Fame inductions. Thank you.